This story took place when I was roughly 5 or 6 years old. My baby sister had just been born a year prior to this story, and my parents had also just been divorced, so my mom and stepdad moved me and my sisters into this new house. This house had been built on a hillside in West Virginia in the mid-1800s. It was made out of dark wood that almost gave you an ominous feeling just looking at it. The house had 3 stories. The front door was at the middle story, where our bedrooms and living room were. Upstairs was the attic, but the entrance to it was a pulley door. Downstairs was the kitchen, laundry room, back door, and then a mysterious room. This mysterious room was the only room in the house with a metal door. Cold air would seep from below it, and it had a padlock that only my mom and the landlord had keys for. The landlord referred to it as the boiler room. My bedroom was located directly above the boiler room, and it also had the pulley door for the attic on my ceiling. It didn't take too long before strange things began happening to each member of my family individually, but it began with me. There would be times when I'd leave the room for a minute, and then return minutes later to find things moved out of place. Hordes of wasps and other things would come out of the attic and act in strange ways, always remaining in my room. I wouldn't learn this detail until years later, but my mom and stepdad apparently heard footsteps in the living room, walking in circles almost every night, usually only when one of them was still awake. A skeptic would say that my things being moved was my older sister playing tricks, that the insects were normal and that the footsteps were creaky wood. However, one night, I woke up and felt like someone was in the room with me. I turned over and saw a little boy standing there, shrouded in darkness. I could only see his silhouette, but he appeared to be the same size as me, so I said, "Hello." The boy answered back and told me that he was from the boiler room and asked if he could play with my toys. I told him no because it was too late and I didn't want to get in trouble. For a brief moment after that, I could make out the boy's expression. My rejection was met with a gaze of pure rage, and then, in an instant, the boy was gone. I told my mom and stepdad about it the next day. They seemed nervous about it, but then they just reassured me that it was a bad dream. Even as a little kid, I was good at reading people, so I could tell that they were holding something back, but I let it be. That night, something else happened. I awoke again to the feeling that I wasn't alone. This time, whenever I turned around, I was met with something sinister. The silhouette of an elderly woman stood hunched over my bed, her face inches away from mine, breathing on me. Where her eyes should have been, there was only darkness. I got up and ran past her, opened my door, and hurried over to my sister's room. My older sister was away at a sleepover, so it was just my baby sister in her crib asleep. When I turned back to the doorway, I saw the woman walking towards me slowly. As she walked past the window, lightning crashed outside. And then, in that instant, the woman was gone. And where she was, it appeared that a wolf was approaching me instead. I looked away for a second, and as I looked back down, the lightning crashed again. And after that flash, I saw spiders on my pillow. I turned to look back to the spirit, and after the next flash, the little boy appeared again. As he got closer and closer to me, I passed out. I woke up in my bed again, drenched in sweat. Many questions raced through my mind at that moment. Soon after telling my mom and stepdad about that experience, we moved out. According to what the landlord told my mom whenever she confronted him about the paranormal experiences, a widowed mother and her 3 children had lived in the house when it was first built. The husband had died during the Civil War. At some point not too long after, the mother snapped and murdered all 3 of her children in the living room of the house, and then stashed their bodies in the boiler room. Those deaths perfectly explained why fast footsteps had been heard in the living room, why my toys and stuff were moving on their own, and why I saw a little boy and an evil woman. It also perfectly explains why we moved out so fast after I told my mom and stepdad about seeing the woman. To this day, I sometimes ask myself, what drove that woman to do it? Grief? Loneliness? Insanity? I'll never know. But another question I have is, if she was willing to do that to her own children, what would she have done to a child that wasn't even hers? What would have happened if my sisters and I had stayed at that house?